You are welcome to the African Tales Stories channel. Without wasting your time, let's get to the watch. The night air was thick with the scent of rain, a quiet promise of a coming storm. From the balcony of his glass-walled penthouse, Kairo Mensah stared down at the city that worshipped his wealth but never saw the man behind the fortune. The golden lights of Lagos flickered like fireflies, the streets alive with laughter, car horns, and the endless chase for money. But for Kairo, the weight of his riches felt heavier than ever. He had everything: mansions, luxury cars, private jets. His name opened doors that were shut to ordinary people. And yet, every woman he met saw him as a golden ticket. Not a man with dreams, fears, and a heart that longed for something real. Was love even possible for a man like him? A viral video had been circulating online. A billionaire proposing to his girlfriend, only for her to laugh in his face when she discovered he had secretly tested her by pretending to be poor. Kairo had watched it over and over again, feeling a strange kind of kinship with the man in the video. He was tired of fake smiles, tired of gold diggers, tired of wondering if any woman would love him if he had nothing to offer but his heart. That night, Kairo made a decision that would change everything. The next morning, Kairo Mensah ceased to exist. His sleek suits were replaced with faded jeans and a worn-out t-shirt. His designer watch was locked away, and his credit cards lay untouched in a drawer. Instead of a chauffeur-driven ride, he hopped into a crowded Danfo bus, squeezed between sweaty passengers and the loud blare of Afrobeats from the driver's radio. His destination? Sunset Haven, one of the city's finest restaurants. But today, he wasn't walking through the golden doors as a VIP guest. Today, he was applying for a job as a dishwasher. The restaurant was a buzzing world of sizzling pans, clinking glasses, and waiters moving like dancers, balancing trays as they weaved through rich customers in silk dresses and crisp suits. The air smelled of roasted peppers, grilled fish, and fresh bread, making Kairo's stomach growl. He spotted the manager, a sharp-eyed woman named Madame F.A., and approached her with a nervous smile. "I heard there's a job opening," Kairo said, forcing his voice to sound unsure, like a man desperate for work. Madame F.A. gave him a once-over, her lips twisting in suspicion. "What experience do you have?" Kairo hesitated. He had run multi-million-dollar businesses, negotiated billion-dollar deals, but scrubbing dishes? Never. I worked in a small buka before." He lied, hoping she wouldn't ask too many questions. She narrowed her eyes. "You don't look like someone used to washing plates." "I'll work hard, please." She sighed, waving him towards the back. "Fine, you start today. No laziness, no mistakes." Kairo nodded, swallowing his pride as he stepped into the steamy, chaotic kitchen, where sweat, fire, and urgency ruled. As he picked up his first stack of dirty plates, Kairo's eyes landed on her. She moved between tables like a breeze, balancing a tray of drinks with practiced ease. Her dark brown skin glowed under the warm restaurant lights, and her eyes, deep, soulful, filled with unspoken stories, held a quiet strength. Zaina. She didn't glance at the billionaires dining at the VIP section. She didn't fake a smile for the rich men who tried to flirt with her. And when she walked past Kairo, she didn't give him a second look, because, to her, he was just another worker. For the first time in his life, Kairo was invisible. And he loved it. "Hey, new guy," a voice barked. Kairo turned to see a thick-set man in a stained apron. Chike, the head cook. His face was carved with a permanent scowl, and his arms were crossed like he had already decided Kairo wasn't going to last the day. "You think washing plates is easy, Abi?" Chike scoffed. Rich boys like you don't last in places like this. Kairo stiffened. Did he suspect something? Before Kairo could respond, Chike shoved a towering stack of greasy dishes in front of him. Since you're so eager to work, wash everything before the dinner rush. The plates were caked with dried sauce, bits of half-eaten fish, and thick oil. Kairo swallowed back his disgust and plunged his hands into the soapy water. Within minutes, his arms ached, and sweat dripped down his forehead. The heat from the kitchen pressed against him like a burning hand, and the smell of raw fish mixed with detergent made his stomach churn. But he refused to give up. You're doing it all wrong. Kairo turned to see Zaina standing beside him, watching with a mixture of amusement and pity. She reached for a sponge and took one of the plates from his hands. Here, circular motion, not side to side, otherwise you'll just spread the dirt. Kairo blinked. You're helping me? She shrugged. If you keep working this slow, Chike will roast you alive. He let out a breathless chuckle, watching her hands move effortlessly. For a moment, he forgot the soap suds, the aching arms, the billionaire life he had left behind. She wasn't helping him because she wanted his money. She wasn't helping him because of who he was. She was just kind. And Kairo, the billionaire who had everything, suddenly realized he had never been more grateful for anything in his life. From across the room, Damien Okoye watched. He had seen men like Kairo before, men who didn't belong in places like this. The way he stood, the way he spoke, it was too refined, too measured. And when Zaina smiled at him, there was something in Kairo's eyes, something that sent a cold ripple of suspicion through Damien's chest. A man with secrets, a man hiding something, and Damien was going to find out what it was. The restaurant was alive with energy that night. A symphony of clinking plates, bubbling conversations, and the rich aroma of spices swirling through the air. Sunset Haven was packed, its tables occupied by well-dressed guests sipping on fine wine, laughing over expensive meals. Yet in the hidden corners of the bustling kitchen, the real work was being done. The clatter of dishes, the sharp hiss of frying pans, the hurried footsteps of waiters dashing in and out. Kairo, disguised as Kofi, stood over the sink, sleeves rolled up, hands deep in soapy water. His muscles ached, his fingers pruned from hours of washing. He had been here for weeks. Yet the weight of this life never seemed to lessen. He had never worked so hard for so little, but for the first time in his life, he felt real. Like a man living, not just existing in the bubble of wealth. And then there was Zaina. She moved through the restaurant like a whisper of light, her slender frame dancing between tables, her smile warm despite the exhaustion in her eyes. Kairo had watched her for days, learning her habits, her struggles. He saw the way she folded her tips carefully into her apron pocket, how she often checked her phone with a worried look, undoubtedly waiting for news about her sick mother. Tonight, she was particularly restless. Kairo caught her leaning against the counter, rubbing her temples. "You okay?" he asked, his deep voice barely audible over the chaos of the kitchen. She looked up, startled. "Yeah, just tired," she said, forcing a small smile. "And worried. My mom's medicine is running out, and I don't have enough to buy more." A pang of guilt and helplessness struck him. He had more money than she could ever imagine. He could buy every medicine she needed for a lifetime, yet here she was, struggling, unaware that the man standing before her could fix everything with a single phone call. But he couldn't. Not yet. Not without ruining everything. Instead, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a folded bill, pretending it was all he had. Here, he said. Take this. It's not much, but it's something. She hesitated, eyes searching his face. I can't take your money, Kofi. You need it too. He pushed it into her hand gently. You need it more. She stared at him for a moment before whispering, Thank you. You're a good man, Kofi. Her words filled his chest with warmth, but guilt gnawed at the edges. Would she still think he was a good man when she learned the truth? Damien Okoye watched from the shadows. He had been suspicious of the dishwasher since the day he arrived. There was something off about him, the way he spoke, the way he carried himself. A dishwasher should be broken, tired, struggling. But Kofi had a quiet confidence, a presence that didn't belong in the trenches of the working class. Tonight, Damien's suspicions had turned into certainty. His men had dug up the truth. Kofi was not Kofi. He was Kairo Mensah, one of the richest men in the country, and now Damien had the perfect weapon to destroy him. The restaurant buzzed on, unaware of the storm brewing. Zaina was clearing a table when a waiter whispered something in her ear. Her brows furrowed in confusion before she turned to Kofi. Can you cover for me? There's someone who wants to see me outside. Who? He asked, feeling a strange unease settle in his gut. I don't know, she shrugged. Some investor? He said it's important. Investor? Kairo's grip tightened around the dish in his hand, but before he could say anything, she had already disappeared through the back door. Outside, in the dim glow of the streetlights, Damien stood waiting. Dressed in an expensive suit, a smug smile played on his lips as he watched Zaina approach. Miss Zaina, I presume? She nodded warily. Who are you? What do you want? Damien chuckled. I want to do you a favor. You deserve the truth about the man you've been trusting, about the man you think is just a poor dishwasher. Zaina stiffened. What are you talking about? He pulled out his phone and showed her a picture, a high-resolution image of Kairo Mensah stepping out of a luxurious black car, flanked by security guards. Another image showed him at a gala, dressed in a tailored suit, drinking champagne beside some of the country's most powerful men. Recognize him? Damien smirked. Zaina's breath caught in her throat. Her fingers trembled as she reached for the phone, eyes widening in horror. No, she whispered. No. That's not possible. Damien leaned in, voice dripping with satisfaction. Oh, but it is. Your dear Kofi is a billionaire, and he's been lying to you this whole time. Zaina felt the ground shift beneath her. The warmth, the kindness, the long conversations, all of it had been a lie. Her heart pounded so hard it hurt. How could he do this to her? Why are you telling me this? She demanded, voice shaky. Because you deserve better than to be played like a fool, Damien said smoothly. And maybe, just maybe, you'll realize that a man like Kairo Mensah could never truly love a girl like you. Zaina clenched her fists. She needed to hear it from Kofi, no, from Kairo himself. Without another word, she turned and stormed back into the restaurant, her heart burning with betrayal. Kairo barely had time to react before he saw her marching towards him. Her face was pale, her hands shaking as she held up Damien's phone, showing him the very images he feared. Tell me it's not true, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Kairo's stomach dropped. The moment he had been dreading had come crashing down, and there was no escaping it now. Zaina. Tell me it's not true, she shouted, her voice breaking as tears welled in her eyes. Kairo swallowed hard, his heart hammering in his chest. I wanted to tell you, but I was afraid. I didn't want to lose you. Then her face twisted in realization. The money, she whispered. Her head snapped up, eyes locking onto his. The money in my locker? That was you, wasn't it? Kairo hesitated. He could lie again. He could say nothing, but the damage was already done. Yes, he admitted. I just wanted to help. Zaina let out a bitter laugh, but it was laced with something deeper. Disappointment. You don't get it, do you? I never wanted your money, Kairo. I just wanted someone who understood me, someone who saw me as an equal. But you watched me struggle, knowing you could change everything with a single word. And you said nothing. Kairo's jaw tightened. I wanted to tell you. I was afraid I'd lose you. Well, she whispered, tears shimmering in her eyes, you lost me anyway. A painful silence followed. The restaurant, usually alive with chatter and the clinking of plates, felt like a hollow shell around them. Then came the final blow. I quit, Zaina said, her voice steady now. Resigned. I'm leaving Sunset Haven. I'm leaving this city. I won't be part of whatever game you're playing. Kairo's breath hitched. Zaina, don't do this. Please, she shook her head. Goodbye, Kairo. And with that, she turned and walked away. Kairo stood frozen, his body heavy with regret. He wanted to chase after her to fix everything. But how could he? He had built their love on deception, and now it had crumbled. As the door swung shut behind her, a single thought echoed in his mind. Was love ever meant for men like him? Weeks later, Zaina finds out Kairo paid for her mother's surgery anonymously. Realizing he truly loved her, she returns, and they begin anew, this time with no lies. Thank you so much for watching this intense and gripping story on African Tales Stories. Your support means everything to us. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments section. And hey, we'd love to know where you're watching from. Drop your location in the comment section below. Don't forget to share these stories so that more people can watch and learn. Until next time, stay tuned for more captivating African Tales Stories. Bye, guys.